Oh boy, here we go. FootyCast live from BackChat Studios. It's the Southern River Band, boys. ShelterFootyCast.com.au. Mark Reddings joins me. Been a busy week for you, Skeeter, hosting the Sandover, hosting charity events. What can't you do?
I can't get home and just lie on the couch and just sleep. Domestic chores. Yeah, domestic chores. Yeah,
you can do that.
That's true. I'll tell you. And you and I, if someone picks this up on the East Coast, I think, oh, geez, it's cold in Perth. It's about 28 degrees. We're dressed like Eskimos. I don't know. I was up early for radio. But, it's been a busy week. Footy finals, Sandover medal, working with you last night at the Charlie Cancer Charity Cup and raising money for cancer. So, yeah, it's been a bit on, but it just feels, it's this final series, maybe because it's just no WA clubs, which is not unusual the last couple of years, but it just feels, I don't know, are we into the vibe?
No, I'm into it.
Are you?
I'm into it, yeah. I'm excited about this weekend, Skate. I actually am. You would have been excited last night when I almost punched on with someone in the crowd. You would have enjoyed that.
I loved it. A bloke who'd had a couple of frothies. He purchased Scoey's.
No, it wasn't mine. I had nothing to do with it.
No, we purchased a jumper, an Eagles jumper from 2018, which you had signed or had about.
I was going to sign. Yeah,
had to sign it. I
didn't have to fucking sign it.
And then you said, as you asked a question that you were just basically saying, even though you grew up you played for the Eagles, you didn't grow up barracking for them. You don't barrack for them now. You
started the whole thing by saying you started the whole thing by the very first question you asked me. You said, "Who do you go for?" That was your first question.
Because I still don't know. I still don't know.
Yeah, but you led me in as if everyone was a Shelter Footycast listener after I'd potted you because you were filthy. I'd called you Joe. I was welcome to the stage, Joe Biden, and you were a bit grumpy about that.
Oh, well, I mean, he's 81 and can hardly string two words together. I reckon I might have him covered, but that's okay. It's one of the blokes at the show come and said, "G'day, Joe," and I thought, "Oh, okay." So you, I'm gonna go and see Warnie's old mob and get a rug.
I mean, it was, mate. I walk in, no microphone, and I just walk into you potting me. You're potting me up the front at MC. Where you? Without a mic.
Because the text from Scully, it was like. Help me, I can't get in.
No, I said I'm here. There's one way in, one way out. I rocked up and there was a very serious speech happening and the door was next to the speaker and everyone was looking at the door. So I've got to trundle in late and everyone's fucking looking at it. So I just text you to say, mate, I'm here. I'm not coming in during the middle of the speech. Anyway, I'll walk in and you're abusing me. Oh, thanks for coming, Will Schofield.
No, it was great to have you here. And no, it was just a bit of...
And the abuse continued after old mate wasn't happy with me saying I didn't go for West Coast. And I feel I have to keep explaining myself. And I actually did it well last night because I got angry because he was yapping at me and telling me I was a disgrace and why don't you explain yourself? As I said to him last night, I don't owe anything to anyone and no one owes anything to me. I bled for West Coast. I bled for my teammates. I gave everything I ever could to West Coast. And they got a premiership. I got a premiership. I don't walk around thinking West Coast owes me anything and they don't owe anything to me. I don't have to support West Coast. Is that okay with fucking everybody? This bloke literally wanted to punch on with me and I absolutely front-footed him back over the fence for 6.
I'm not sure he would have been up to getting out of the chair and laying one. But anyway.
It does my head in. He's like, why don't you explain yourself? Why don't you fucking explain yourself? Seriously, explain myself.
He sounds like Donald Trump. I need to fact-check you with some of the shit you come out with. Anyway.
Welcome to the Shelter Footycast. Fair bit going on at the moment. Left Coast IPA has been released by Shelter, I believe. Tomorrow is the... big release down at Shelter. So get down there to go and get yourself a big Left Coast IPA. I think Skeeter likes those ones. The final happening, Subiaco Oval, plenty coming out about that. Scott Cummings and I'll be down there hosting.
Yeah, good. Geez, you've thought ahead with getting Scotty Cummings. I like your work there. He's a good operator. I like Scotty.
Very good, Scotty. I enjoy his work immensely. So I don't know if Mark Reddings is going to make an appearance or not. So we'll have to wait and see. But Scott Cummings and I definitely will be there. So make sure you get your tickets to that biggest grand final show in Perth. That is on September 28th, of course. Get your tickets to the Jack Buckley Medal. That is on Brownlow Eve. That is the BackChat Backman of the Year, the best night of the year. Hamish Brayshaw playing in a grand final. Is that on a Sunday?
It's on a Sunday. And so it's a long weekend, by the way.
So Hamish Brayshaw will be playing in a grand final, captaining East Perth. So win or lose, as host of the Jack Buckley Medal the next day, it could be an absolute shit show.
Where are you doing that show?
Leederville Hotel. You can get your tickets at backchatstudios.com.au.
Say on the day after the
WAFL
WAFL Grand Final at the Leederville Hotel.
That's absolutely right. Upstairs, we've got the entire upstairs area.
What time is it?
It'll be from 6 p.m. We'll be watching along with the Brownlow, but we'll be doing our own commentary and we'll be announcing the Jack Buckley medalist, and we'll be doing our own count throughout the night. We've got everyone in suits, everyone frocked up, just like the Sandover, except Backman, give a shit.
Yeah. No, I'm actually just trying to put the timeline together, win or lose.
Correct.
Where Hammer will sound like me after 6 days at the Spring Carnival.
That's the vibe that we're going for. Absolutely, Skeeter. That's exactly where we're going to get to. Okay, Skeet, let's get into the footy, mate. Fair bit going on off the top here. We've got 2 games to get through, of course. Are they semi-finals? Is that what they're called?
They are semi-finals.
Semi-finals, elimination. Winner goes on, loser goes home. If we go on through those. But before we get there, I think a fair bit going on in footy right now. Fremantle announced some delistings overnight. Matt Taberner, you can talk me through his nickname shortly, Skeeter, and Ethan Hughes, 2 of the more notable guys that have been released.
Seb Queck, who's obviously...
Seb Queck, he's gone.
Yeah. He obviously had a knee 12 months out.
I saw him play a game at WAFL, and I thought this kid could actually be anything.
Yeah, well, and dare I say it, there's a little bit of that Mac Andrew, which I'm sure we'll talk about shortly, and that's not saying that he could be or should have been, but yeah, he's got that athletic ability, hasn't he? So that's disappointing for him. And Conrad Williams, the other player who, lesser known to many, but Matt Tabin, I guess, was the main name that was delisted after 120-odd games. Much maligned, I think. And I think when you look at the fact, I think he was taken 11th pick in the 2013 rookie draft. The rookie draft.
Yeah.
Mate, but people forget where he was taken. He wasn't a high-end draft pick. And so what he did, I think, to finish, twice as a leading goalkeeper at the Dockers.
He overperformed his draft position.
He gets a massive tick. Yep. He gets a massive tick. Well done to him. And look, he's had some massive back injuries as well through, and you would understand that as an athlete how difficult that would be. So no, I think I reckon he's a bit of a different cat from time to time.
I'm going to say he was a good player towards the back end of his career.
That
faded, but I played him a few times. Good player. And what's his nickname? I thought it was Tabs.
Well, so did I. And it may well be. But when you go on Wiki, I don't know. It's not. It's just on the internet. But his nickname was Crab.
Crabiner.
It could be. I don't know, but Crab. It just had all the other information which looked correct, and then it had nickname Crab.
Where we source all of our factual information, Wikipedia.
Okay. Mac. Mate, half the knuckleheads get their medical advice by looking on Twitter.
If any listeners would like to jump onto Wikipedia and update Mark Reddings' Wikipedia, some reference to Joe Biden, I will pay you in beer at the Jack Buckley medal. You want to come down there and you want to just have a play around with that? I would very much appreciate it. Mac Andrew signs a 9-year, sort of, it's got clauses
and all sorts.
But 9-year, $12 million deal, the biggest contract in AFL history, goes to Mac Andrew.
And you know who's the most excited apart from Mac and his family?
Me?
It's Sam Darcy. It's Harley Reid. It's guys that are going to find themselves in that same sphere in the not-too-distant future.
That's
and
interesting.
Surely there's, I could name maybe 3 or 4 others, but that has to be the benchmark. You're going, wow, if you're, say, for Harley Reid or Sam, you're going, well, if Mac's a good player, but I think there's a bit of scope for those 2 young men to find themselves with big dollars.
I know they've been playing him forward, but he's a backman for mine. So it's bloody good to see the highest contract ever in the AFL paid to a backman. I'm absolutely over the moon.
Way overs.
Why?
I just think in terms of as it sits now.
So if you're the Gold Coast Suns, right? Sam Collins, shout out, just won the best and fairest.
Yeah, outstanding. He was, on the Dockers list.
Bodie Ulan second. Pretty sure he's a backman. So they've gone Sam Collins backman, best and fairest. Bodie Ulan second, backman. Sam Flanders, I'm sure, spent some time in the back line, and then they've just paid Mac Andrew $12 million. It'd be the greatest back line in the history of the world.
It is, except that so that was the fairest and best count, and the Gold Coast Suns finished nowhere.
So you reckon it's overs? I think you're right, but
that's the trend. That's where we're heading. But
it is,
is that much of a talent moving
pay
forward?
Someone, obviously. But they've got some midfielders in there. But it does show the value that clubs are starting to pay on key position players.
Yeah. I did see him against the Eagles here playing forward and did some really nice things. Yeah.
Good, but best player in the AFL?
Well, highest paid player in the AFL?
Or can he be the best player?
No. I don't think so. And I hope to be proven wrong.
I hope you are too, but I
You
semi-agree with you. Yeah, I semi-agree with you. So there you go. Look, there's a fair bit going on in the trade space at the moment, Skeeter. Probably the biggest one, Bailey Smith requests a trade from the Western Bulldogs. I can only assume that he did that via, Zoom or Google Meet. He hasn't been in the club for 6 months. So I know people are sort of...
No, exit meeting. I think he went to an exit meeting.
Well, I reckon he would have dialed in because...
But guess what? As the song goes, destination unknown.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You want to sing that for us?
No. But,
How's it go?
Destination unknown.
Thank you very much.
You don't know the song, do you? Because you were born in 1989. I only know stuff after the 90s.
Mate, they did a remix of it, so yeah, I do know that.
Oh, and who did the remix?
I don't know.
Of course you don't.
I don't know.
All right, keep
you
going.
sitting in your bloody living room calling Alexa to play it to you. Remember when I taught you that? You could speak to Alexa?
Yeah, I used to go whisper in her ear and say, Alexa, talk to her like she was deaf. And Scully said, "Oh, you dickhead." So he sat in the couch, goes, his shelter going,
Alexa, play Destination Unknown. And it started playing. And Skinner was like, for the last 6 years, I've been going up and speaking to it like it's a person into its ear. Oh, very good.
That's true.
It is absolutely true. Don't worry about that. So, Bailey Smith, Destination known, mate.
Geelong.
So it's not Destination
Well,
Unknown. What are you talking about?
He didn't name a club.
Oh, God. Well, it's Geelong.
Why? How did Geelong? How they got the salary cap? How do they do it? That must have an insight into
who
how
are they paying? Who are they paying? Tom Stewart, Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins is gone, Joel Selwood's gone, Patrick Dangerfield's going.
No, but you're getting guys, whether it's big name players, Jeremy Cameron being the most notable.
They do it because they're good and they're successful and people want to play on a winning side.
Well, is that the only? No, I'm not. I'm giving them a credit here to say why is Geelong such a destination? Is it because it's out of Melbourne and that sort of
it is a bit
anonymity, I guess, to some degree, even though it's a small town.
No, Geelong would be a great place to. Well, would be a great place to live, I think, and I think some players think, well, just get me out of the shit show that Melbourne is sometimes. He's been linked to Geelong for 12 months, pretty much. The Cotton On stuff's an interesting one. I know there's going to be a pretty stiff eye from the AFL on the Cotton On deal that Bailey Smith already has. So
is that third party?
Signed up with them a few years ago, but Cotton On is the major sponsor of Geelong. They make all their equipment there. They're heavily they've started in Geelong. It's one of the biggest employers in Geelong.
So that's excuse my ignorance here, but so is Ford no longer? The plant's still there or not?
They pulled a whole bunch of employees out of the plant isn't there Ford anymore.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah.
But they're still sponsors of Geelong. But yeah, Cotton On, huge employers. So they're going to have to meet a whole bunch of third-party agreement requirements with the AFL. So that's going to be an interesting watch because people are throwing out the Chris Judd Vizzy deal that happened with Carlton and
Richard Pratt and all that.
Yeah, so that all sort of went to shit. So I'm sure there's nothing untoward there, but that is a bit of a watch. Still at the Bulldogs, Jack McRae has requested a trade, 3 years to run on his deal. How does Jack McRae have 3 years left?
He's 30 years of age.
What sort of deal did
Three
he sign?
times All-Australian.
He hasn't played this year.
Was there a bit of talk, there was a bit of angst, the fact that James Harms
Saw that.
had got a game before him.
Did you call that game with me, the Bulldogs game? I was very critical of Harms.
You were critical, and I did call it with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, he was not up to that, James Harms. He played a shocking game in that final. And I was only calling it as I see it, Skeeter, as you know I do. I wasn't targeting him. He was fumbly. He was really poor. And it's just interesting, Jack McRae being angry that he wasn't in the side and Harms was. So, of course, Harms being traded to the footy club from Melbourne a couple of years ago. So, yeah, Jack McRae, he's out the door. Linked to St Kilda. I think that's a good fit.
You know what? At 30 years of age, I joked with Millsy on radio the other day. I mean, is that the type of player St Kilda wants?
Honestly, because Millsy is a St Kilda fan.
Yeah, massive.
Honestly, St Kilda would take anyone, I reckon. And that's the sort of destination St Kilda is.
St Kilda's just
compared to Geelong.
Like most clubs, get to the draft, get good young talent in there, and can you go? I mean, in the short term, it's going to hurt, but can you go wrong over 4 or 5 years, really just attacking in the draft? If you get
probably
it right,
not. Yeah, probably not.
You're probably going to be, all things being equal, you're going to improve.
You just, strip. You know, you have to get it right. One,
Well, that's exactly right.
and you're committing to youth, so they don't just come to the club.
No, but if wouldn't you much rather have 3 or 4 years of mediocrity?
But what have they been doing for 20 years? I don't know.
Well, that's exactly right. And St Kilda, if that's where he's heading, and he's got 30 years of age, probably 2 or 3 years of footy left in him. But yeah, it's not a player that I'd be. It depends on where you're at as a footy club, but the Saints tend to be interested in those types of players from time to time. I mean, they even had chat reportedly to Taron Thomas, which, I mean, St Kilda supporters went berserk.
Yeah,
rightfully so.
Well, like we said, they'll speak to anyone. Just changing tack, Melbourne Footy Club, it doesn't look good with what's going on there. Is it Rafferty or Roffey?
Kate Roffey.
Roffey,
Yeah, stood down.
So she stood down, the president. Hearing murmurings that a player's not happy. I've heard these same murmurings. So they're out at Casey Fields, right? It's the only...
How far's that out?
Mate, 45 minutes.
So it's a bit like when St Kilda were at Seaford, I think it was?
Exactly right. So they're the only club in Melbourne that's outside like a 10-kilometre ring. Everyone out like North Bulldogs, they're all sort of... Hawthorn's probably the furthest, but that's sort of a 15-minute drive.
So have they moved yet from Waverley? They're in the process of moving somewhere else, is that right?
Great question.
I'm pretty sure that obviously there was...
No, they're at Waverley.
Or redeveloping Waverley to even...
Yeah, no, I
the
think
club.
they're at Waverley.
Anyway, that's set up a bit like, dare I say, it's a bit like Revo Fitness Stadium, Claremont, with
correct.
apartments around the outside. So, but you're saying Melbourne, outside almost the suburban...
Oh, mate, it's halfway to Mandurah. More than half. It's past Coburn.
Yeah, that's a pain.
You know, and so, but it's not a freeway like there is in Perth that'll take you 30 minutes down the road. You're going through suburbs. It's a shit show. And everyone lives in Melbourne. No one lives out where it is. If you want to Google it and have a look.
Yeah.
If you're a player there, you haven't performed, you got your best player wants out the door, you've got your other best player with, cultural bloody questions over his head. You've played like shit. Your president's out the door. You've got questions being asked at board level. Your questions being... If you're a Melbourne player, what do you think? Oh, I can't wait to get back to pre-season. Can't wait to drive out to Casey Fields. They got issues and they can't improve them quickly. Like they're going to have a huge drop off. Now they won a premiership, so
3 years ago,
right? But if they can't right the ship, you're going to have Gawn, Petrarca, Oliver, all these talents, Viney.
Looking elsewhere. And even coming into the club, reportedly Dan Houston was in negotiations, or certainly he was in their sights. Now, it would be, for those reasons you just mentioned, if you're a player, and you've got the choice in Melbourne of so many clubs, so it's not like you're coming to WA and you've got two. You've got, outside of Melbourne, okay, I'll go to Carlton. I'll go to Collingwood. If there's so many more chances for Dan Houston to do that as we speak.
So Dan Houston, a great segue. What is going on here? Didn't he come out and say I'm a Port Adelaide guy? And then I've got written in front of me he's met with Carlton, St Kilda, Collingwood, and Western Bulldogs. What's happening? They're in the finals still. Like what?
Well, he's years over though, isn't it?
Well, oh yeah, true. That's right. True. Thank you very much, Skater.
That was
he's
years over.
No, he's been reported out the door.
Yeah,
however,
didn't
didn't he come out and say?
Yeah, the timing though. If he's
didn't he come out and say I'm a Port Adelaide player? I swear I saw that.
Yeah, and let me step it back a bit. Probably Tom Barras 6 months ago said I'm a West Coast player.
Fair, but I think like this is like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
So,
it changes.
That was right, wasn't it,
mate? It changes. It's like we change our horses in the grand final. You've changed weekly in the past months, and so
not you, Skater. No one, no one's as loyal as you to the Cats.
I said no. I
called
said,
Geelong halfway through the year.
Last week, you were adamant Port would win the flag. I said, who do you think? And you sort of sneered at me when I said Sydney because the Swans finished on top. Port Adelaide
You're just
finished
vanilla,
second.
mate. You're vanilla. It's like just
maybe a vanilla. So boring, am I?
Yeah.
I revealed more about my private life, which I have no interest in doing, and yet you just give us the straight bat. Oh yeah, Alex likes me. The kids love me. And
hey, happy birthday, my beautiful wife. Happy birthday,
and I get thrown on the bus every week, not just by you, but my daughters.
Birthday.
I know, and she's a gorgeous one. You're punching well above, as I am as well. I'm the president, you're vice president, and looming to take over.
Well, how do we get there? Seriously, have a great day, Alex. I know you'll be tuning right into.
Yeah. Victoria would not even know that.
How much would Victoria have to be paid to listen to you and I for one episode? Like genuinely.
Well, we go to New York, so Tiffany's or something. We have something that's going to be with 4 zeros.
Jason McCartney. So we were saying, I hope it wasn't a suspension. He hasn't got suspended. He's fined 20 grand. I saw some learned colleagues of ours in the media saying that it should have been banned from all finals, not allowed in the arena. I mean, geez, we love to be outraged. We love to be outraged, and the Jack Ginnivan stuff is a perfect example. If Jason McCartney, for mine, is more serious than Ginnivan. Like, if Ginnivan happened in America, his see you in 14 days, it'd be like, yeah, fucking oath, great confidence. We love that. It's not arrogance, it's belief. In Australia, it's how could you disrespect your teammates? How could you disrespect the opposition like that? Who gives a shit? I'm moving more into who gives a shit about what Jack Ginnivan's had to say.
Yeah, I think what you're right though. It is the culture, and Americans in their athletes, they spruik themselves, they talk themselves up. I mean, they are the epitome of showing the world that they think they're the greatest in every the world champions of any sport. Doesn't matter whether.
But I don't think see you in 14 days is that level.
But the UK, athletes a bit more like us, I think, a bit more conservative. I love it. You like it. I think most people enjoy it. But you know what? Unless there's a controversy in footy, that type of stuff makes news.
But I saw Paul Roos, he was from Hawaii, by the way. Paul Roos going off his, I can't believe, Jay, I'd have him in my office at 7 a.m. the next morning, reaming him out. No, you wouldn't, Roosy. There's no bloody way you would, because the game's changed from 2005 when you won a premiership.
Yeah, well, right? Another example this year was Sam Draper. We know the angst that caused in his footy club about what he said on a podcast about the Western Bulldogs and how everyone would be leaving. Well, that ended up not looking too good for Sammy, because the Bombers missed the finals, the Bulldogs played finals.
But okay, so we just went through Bailey Smith out the door, Jack McRae out the door. Yeah, who else is out the door? So he was right.
Well, Bailey Smith is one, McRae's two. So yeah, but he's right, but it's more about having his say and coming out public and not just talking within your lane of your own club and showing, I love what Jack does. And if you're playing against him, you want to kill him. A bit like with Tom Papley, going back to Jason McCartney. I got to know Jason relatively well since Bali, and I just reckon he's a ripper, and he did what probably most blokes in the opposition, if you had that chance, maybe just a little clip on the way through.
Absolute brain fade. He's just out there charging around, putting the chest out. He's a big man, Jace.
He's a big man, but yeah, you know what? I don't think Adam Kingsley would be fussed at all about it.
He's a big man too. I'd be scared of both of those blokes. $20,000, that's a fair whack, to be honest. $20,000.
Yeah.
He's paying that. Club's not paying that.
20K? Yeah. I'm trying to think of what...
I'm trying to spare 20K lying around?
No, I'm just trying to think of what Zak Butters has been fined this year.
Yeah, it's a very, very good question. How's some of that with Zak Butters and Paul Marsh, Kane Corns? You seen all this?
A bit of it, yeah.
So Kane Corns came out and said that, and I try. This is paraphrasing, not verbatim, but he's going to need to toughen up this weekend coming. Bruised ribs. Lots of players play with bruised ribs. He's a leader of the team, most courageous, all that sort of stuff. So basically, Paul Marsh, head of the AFLPA, has taken umbrage at the toughen up chat. So there was quite a bit said by Kane. I'm not going to say it all. But
so why is Paul Marsh getting involved?
Because it's not necessarily Kane Corns. It's more the media metric of they want to encourage players to put their hand up when they're not right. So it might be ribs, or it might be concussion, or whatever it is. They don't want to encourage an environment, especially in the media, where we're calling players out not for their performance. So again, Marsh sort of said this on radio yesterday, that he's happy, obviously happy. They need to criticise performance, especially when poor. That's how it goes. But injury and not playing through injury and not being tough enough, that's their real message, that we can't invite a culture of doing that. Where do I sit, you ask, Skeeter? What's my opinion? Look, it's a difficult one, because you need to be tough to play. You need to be tough to play AFL. Like it's. I don't think it's a harden up. You got to be a man. You got to. It's this masculinity bullshit. It's like you got to be hard and tough. And if you're injured, which a lot of players are, a lot of players play injured. You have to grit your teeth. Exactly what Kane said. Like, you have to screw your guts up and go, well, can I get through this? And that's probably why Christian Petrarca found himself in that situation. Now, we don't want to encourage people playing through injuries that are going to get him killed, like which potentially could happen to Christian. But I guarantee you, every single game of every week of the AFL, and especially in finals, players are playing through something. And they're weighing up, that's the game. Like you're weighing up, am I going to get more hurt? Am I going to get more injured? Can I get worse? Can I protect myself? Can I play through it? Like that happened. Like,
so do you think, if you're saying Corns was perhaps questioning the durability of Butters, is that the general theme of his line? Yeah. Maybe Kane can do it because he's played the game and played a lot of footy at that level.
I don't think he's wrong in saying you have to be tough and hard to play AFL.
No, but it's also, I think, unless he knows specifically what the early diagnosis or what they thought was wrong with him, and bear in mind what happened to Petrarca, not saying it was in the same vein.
So I reckon that's got clubs a little scared, really. That's such an out-of-the-box thing to happen with Christian Petrarca. I remember speaking about it when it happened and saying, like, that's the discussion you have with the doctor. Christian would have played a big part in that, right? And so that, again, that's a thing that happens all the time. So off the back of that, clubs would be pretty scared about the same thing happening. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I'm always loath to, because all we're doing is second guessing how he was feeling, what the doctors were saying, and the conversations they had. So I'm not going to pot Kane Corns for what he says he's been out there, as you have, but I'm always reluctant to say, he should have got out there and played the second half.
Fair enough. Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shelter FootyCast. Rightio, let's get into these semis. Excuse me, Skeeter. Port Adelaide v Hawthorn, Adelaide Oval, Friday. It's a 5:40 game for us in the West, 7:40 over East, and somewhere in the middle for Adelaide, I assume. I don't know the time zone there.
Probably 7:10.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What? Just a half an hour?
So they're in between Adelaide and Melbourne. So it's 2 hours for Melbourne and Sydney, obviously the East Coast. A half hour because of the distance. So yeah, they're an hour and a half and 2.5 hours in summer.
Okay. So, do you know what I mean? Do you understand why? Don't know what's going on.
It's the most confusing. It is confusing, the Australian time clocks. Yes,
thank you very much. So just set your clocks for whatever the fuck you're doing and wherever you are.
Just check your local guides.
That just reminded me. So that's a very media thing to say. So I rang you in the car going to this gig yesterday, and Alex was in the car, and I said, I don't think I told you. You assumed or whatever, but you didn't speak to her, she didn't speak to you, and then we hung up and she goes, I didn't recognise who that was. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, I now know it was Skeeter, but I've never heard him talk seriously before. He's either taking the piss out of you, you're talking the piss out of him, he's pissing himself laughing, or he's being like really friendly and kind. He was quite serious and quite...
I know, I was just a bit stressed through the traffic, and I was
no, it was tight. It's just funny because it was just your normal voice, but Alex had never heard you speak like that, which is very good. All right, let's get into this guys. Yeah, correct. How do Port bounce back after the Geelong horror show? Can they, and is it win or bust for Ken Hinkley?
All of the above is a massive question mark. You know what? The longer this week has gone, the longer, and you'll just laugh at me.
Oh no,
I think they can. I have to trust, and they don't. You start. I don't know. After 7 days ago, you said they're going to win the flag. Seriously,
Hockball.
Yeah. You've jumped off very quickly. It's going to be difficult. And what changes they make at the selection table tonight is interesting. I mean, Charlie Dixon, does he hold his place? Does Todd Marshall come into that lineup? And that's a very small part of what went wrong last week.
Could they play them both? So no Sam Frost. He's out for the season with a fractured stretch.
And that's not insignificant.
No, he played really well in the first final, Sam Frost. So Jai Sarong will come in to replace him. That's been confirmed. 193 centimetres, Jai Sarong. So he's an undersized defender. So I'm 195, 196. So he's almost a medium defender.
I'm just worried about Charlie. How he tracked last week. I know it was difficult circumstances, but
he seems like the sort of bloke. We've met him a couple of times. I've seen him play. I've played against him.
Yep.
He seems like the bloke that, I know he was disappointing last week, but if you put the absolute fire in him and say, Charlie, okay, last week you didn't play well, mate, and we needed you last week, but we bloody need you this week, and we need the brutality that we've all seen him play with.
And this could be his contract. This could be his last game.
I reckon play him. My view would be to play him and say, mate, even if you can only give us a half of just brutality, Charlie Dixon style, I'd be playing
particularly early. They need to make a statement tomorrow night. against a team that is, look, it's very hard to find holes in their side. Frost is a big omission. Will Day's not playing, but the running power, I guess, if you're going to, this is a question I'd ask you. When it comes to Port Adelaide and Hawthorn, will either club look back, albeit it's regular season, home and away match where Hawthorn led, for instance, by 41 points or 40-odd points and got rolled?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
do you actually revisit that heading towards a final, albeit it's 2 or 3 months ago?
Elements, but not, let's watch the last quarter where we gave up a 40-point lead. But you definitely look at what they did well. What did Hawthorn do well to be up by 41 points? Like, you would be focusing on that a little bit, and both sides would look at that. So Port would be wondering, well, what do we do in the middle? What do we do with our ball movement or our defence that allowed them to get up there by that much? But it's a bit of an out of the box one that you kind of, Port were just rolling and Hawthorn stopped. And I think
they tried to save the game, park the bus, didn't they, really?
Correct. Like, they kicked 2 goals in the last 30 seconds. So you watch it a little bit. I don't think a lot. Yeah, Todd Marshall is expected to replace Charlie Dixon, but I could see them playing both. I know that seems too tall, but I mean, they were no good last week. Like, you'd have to change something, wouldn't you? It may not just be the...
It starts in the middle is where they're going to have to get things right. The midfielders were certainly well below what we expect. So you talk about sending a challenge to Charlie. Well, whether it's Juan Francis, who wasn't the worst, but, Butters, and hoping that he can contribute as he has during the year, and Rosie, they're the 3 guys, and Willem Drew, does he get a role this week? Yeah, I can't imagine. Imagine that was, say, the Eagles, the Dockers last week here, and they get a second chance. The scrutiny by the West, by us and the media, it'd be you certainly know that you can't go out and replicate that.
Since that game in round 10 where they got rolled, Hawthorn, they have been the number 1 ranked defence. They're ranked number 1 defensively in the AFL, 70 points against per game. So that's the number 1 since that game.
That wins you a lot of games of footy if you're keeping teams to, 11 goals.
It does. Hawks are also ranked first in the AFL for ground balls, so they want that knock-on small hawk ball, right? I think that's what hawk ball is. It's that sort of menacing run-around footy.
Is it a bit different styles, but it's a bit like when Richmond were really going, get the ball forward at all costs. Obviously, in the wet, they were so effective. But just they've learnt to play a style which other teams are really struggling to counter, and that's suffocating pressure. You'd be having sleepless nights if you're Kenny.
Look, the way this game goes, that's why I'm a little bit... if I'm Port Adelaide, Frost out, I'd be playing tall and I'd be trying to stretch Hawthorn's...
And obviously, sorry to cut you off, make sure that Sicily is accountable.
So you don't do that by playing small, to be honest. Yep. If he gets to play on a smaller player, he'll stand on him and then just roll around doing what he's like. If you play Dixon, Marshall...
We got Georgiades.
And Georgiades.
He's really number 1 forward, Georgiades.
Sicily has to play on someone. Like, you can't... As much as Dixon doesn't play well last week, you can't just leave him free. I'd be strongly considering that if I'm Port Adelaide, and then you need to get the midfield battle done. Hawthorn, on the other hand, they just need, honestly, if they rock up and in the first 5 minutes you can see that Hawthorn's on, they win the game.
Yeah, you can tell early with them, can't you?
Yeah, and the only way they lose is if they're getting a bit nervous. They're elimination final again.
Doesn't strike me that they're a team that gets nervous.
But I am waiting for that day. I think it will come. So if that happens, it's going to be a good game. If Hawthorn are on, I don't see them losing this game. Is this right? Luke Bruce's 300th game? Does that sound right to you?
First I've heard of it.
I mean, Riley's very, very, very rarely wrong. So milestone game for a player that played in 3 grand final, 3 premierships.
A little different with finals because
you don't need the motivation.
Yeah, well, you don't need. Yeah, again,
this is what we're talking about with Ginnivan. Yeah. I don't think that. I don't think that Port Adelaide need the motivation.
No club. I would have thought maybe Melbourne last year had a bit of heat on them, but this match for Port Adelaide will either obviously extend their season, but also it might end some careers if they don't come to the party and at the very least be highly competitive.
So with so much on the line, me picking them to win the grand final, changes are plenty. Pressure, right, makes diamonds, doesn't it? As the saying goes.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Pressure is a privilege, that's what I've heard. But
okay, thank you very much. Who are we picking? Port Adelaide or Hawthorn? The number 1 bloody pressure side in the AFL, Hawthorn, or the number one side under pressure.
Well, I think
finals.
we should go at odds here. So, given I know where you're heading, I'll
you know where I'm heading.
Well,
you know anything about me.
I would suspect that you're going to go with the team that's on a roll. I'm going to tip the team that is playing for their lives to survive, and quite often
Both of them are.
Quite often top 4 teams when that team loses. I know last year Melbourne is the outlier, but quite often they bounce back the next week. They show something, as I expect the Giants to do this week. I am going to tip Port with more a gut than what we've seen, because on the eye you can't be picking them.
I'm in a bad spot here, Scott.
You're in a shocking spot.
I'm in a bad spot because I've come out and said Port's win the flag, and I think they can. I think they can win the flag.
Yeah, okay. I saw this because this made a clip on X. Wake up, Jade. This was on X last week. You going on about...
they pulled a bunch of my... Yeah, it was very nice of Jade. Yeah, he's currently working in another office at the moment.
Brilliant stuff.
Pulled them all together for me. That was good.
So I saw that.
Didn't take him long.
Just keep throwing them out there, Scully. Keep the darts going. So I don't care. So who are you tipping?
Yeah, well... I'm in a shocking spot. I'm picking Hawthorn. Fuck it. Fuck Port Adelaide. They absolutely screwed me last week. I'm off them.
You know when you get a barrack for a side, I'm barracking for Port more than I ever would now.
All right. That sounds good. I don't know why I've done that. That's so dumb.
Hawthorn is the feel-good story, as I've said many times.
I think Port Adelaide will win. I actually think Port Adelaide will win, and I want Hawthorn to win. So, I pick Port. I want Hawthorn to win. Can I do that?
Yeah, it's called happiness insurance, I suppose, yeah.
Is that all right? I'll pick Port. I'll change my pick.
Mate, nothing ever surprises me with you. So just go on, say what you want, and then Jaden will clip it up and make you look like a goose.
Yeah, and I'll put the backing track of Destination Unknown on it. Hey,
good song, by the way.
Will you sing? Who sings it? You asked me who sings it.
That's a good question. Yeah. I was at a nightclub, probably off my trolley at that stage of the night.
GWS v Brisbane, NG Stadium, Saturday 5:30. Western, can't give you the Adelaide time. It'll be 7:30 Sydney, 7:30 Melbourne. Check your local guides. This is going to be a good game. Both of them are, to be honest. I'm really looking forward to this. Toby Bedford will be back in. I expect him to go straight to Dane Zorko.
He's the guy that you have to put time into, isn't it?
He's been touted to go through the midfield, right, to a Lachie Neale, someone like that. I think they back their midfield in against Brisbane, and God, I hate that saying. I hate the back the boys in. Dane Zorko's the guy. He is the one that sets them up, just like Whitfield is the guy for GWS. So if Brisbane don't put energy into Whitfield, I'll be very surprised. And if GWS don't put energy into Dane Zorko, I'll be very surprised.
Yeah, and look, having spoken to Mark Stone through my work at 6PR, of course, he was an assistant coach at Brisbane last year. He was very strident on the Zorko factor is there, but he also said, look, the Lachie Neale element is very important, because he essentially, if he's playing well, the team sort of rides on his shoulders a bit, and he's a bit of the barometer.
So put Peatling to him or something.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I'm not saying don't attend him, but yeah, it's interesting. He said, and I'm not sure when you think of where they've had trouble in recent times, Brisbane, it's good running teams. And Hawthorn is being, as Stoney said, Hawthorn was one of those clubs that really troubled them because of their legs, but their power.
And GWS are the same.
Well, the Giants are in that same category. So, yeah, I've got a few fears for Brisbane this week. They were terrific for the first half. It was 10 goals to nothing, essentially, against Carlton. Exactly. So, I don't know. That's a great prep. I was really impressed by 3/4 of the Giants, but let's be honest, they're playing a lot of 3/4 footy at the moment, as opposed to a full match, and that doesn't generally bode well in finals.
But that is what Brisbane's doing. So that's what happened to Brisbane, and they didn't lose because their first 2 quarters were too good. But they completely stopped. Carlton started sort of running at them in the second half.
You look at the scoreboard. Yeah, it mentally.
But Brisbane have done that all year.
No, I agree.
So they've given up big runs to teams. So they can't stop momentum. They still can't. But they're worked their way into form with a winning game style of late. The Giants and Lions have faced off twice this year, Skeeter. First one was at Manuka. Right,
so there's a pantsing there for
54 points to GWS, and then they played at the Gabba round 22.
And the Giants got the job done again there, and they trailed for a fair chunk of that. And I remember it vividly. I was at Optus Stadium watching the game, and Darcy Jones bobs up late, kicks a goal or two, and yeah, that to me, I thought, well, that's a massive win for the Giants. That being said, they lose that game against Sydney, which you have to give credit to what Sydney did, but by the same token, the Giants, I don't think of the losers of the weekend, they were the ones that you give a pass mark to, even though the last 20 minutes, I'd like to have that time again to play a little differently against a Swan side that was really rolling the dice.
The Giants are the number one pressure team in the competition. That bodes well in finals.
Yep.
That is how you need to play. Some matchups for you, Skeeter. Tell me what you like here and who you think's got the edge. Toby Green v. Starcevic. I think that's a brilliant matchup. Starcevic is a great defender. Toby Green, the captain.
Yeah. That sounds...
Who's got the edge there?
Well... I always back Toby Green in because of his ability. I mean, it
stands up in finals.
As a forward and someone who's got that, it's always, Starcevic could have 5 minutes where he's, not switched on and it looks terrible on the scoreboard for
Jesse Hogan v. Harris Andrews.
That's a beauty. That's a beauty.
Yeah.
When you say Jesse Hogan and Harris Andrews, how much do you want to roll off and do his own thing and be the intercept player? So do you think that's, given there's a big injury cloud on Jack Payne,
Dara Joyce is expected to take Jack Payne's place if he doesn't get up from that knee injury. And if he doesn't play, then Harris Andrews will have to go to Jesse. He's their best player.
Which is not ideal, though.
No, it's not.
Because you want him as that.
But he has to go to someone, so it's not him, it's Cadman. So, I think Harris Andrews' role will be significant, and you got to make sure you have someone on him like a Jesse Hogan that's dangerous, or if you're not going to be dangerous, you can't let Harris Andrews intercept like you just spoke about.
True.
Toby Bedford, I think he goes to Zorko. You think Neil's important, so maybe he does spend time on Neil.
But I think you're right with Bedford, who's clearly reputation as a forward, but since being given some run with roles, he looks like he's it's another element to his game, and he can at some stage during the finals, if they survive, he could easily be switched forward if things are going that way.
Absolutely. Tom Green v Dunkley sounds like a good matchup, but the big one for mine is, and Carlton got sort of stitched up in this regard, Danaher and Hipwood v Taylor and Buckley. That's a significant advantage to GWS for mine. Like those two backmen will dominate those two talls. So if Brisbane are to win this, their smalls are going to stand up.
Yeah, and they're small forwards. Whether it's Rayner and these sorts of blokes that can hit the scoreboard, they're going to have to find different ways. So I tend to agree with you. I think Sam Taylor and Buckley, the longer the Giants can stay in this final series, that these types of guys will, we've seen them time and time again. And look at what City did last week, albeit Amadi kicked one late in the piece.
Yep. But
they're tall forwards. I'm trying to even think. McDonald, that they were well held for a large portion of the game. It wasn't the tall forwards that essentially brought Sydney home. So I agree with you. The Buckley-Taylor combination is going to be, I think, pretty handy for the Giants at some stage on the weekend.
GWS win. I'm picking GWS.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about the Giants on this one, I must admit. And that sets up a prelim final against the winner for Port Adelaide and Hawthorn, if I'm
No.
Oh, okay.
They'll play Geelong.
Will they?
The winner of GWS Brisbane plays Geelong.
There you go.
And the winner of Port Adelaide Hawthorn plays Sydney.
Plays Sydney, of course, yes. I knew there was a prelim final in Sydney, just got the wrong team. I've been learning from you.
Thank you, Skater. Yeah, the winners of just to explain the AFL final system.
They swap over.
The winners of the qualifying final go straight to the prelim. And then I know you're used to the old school WAFL method where teams just get about 16 buys before they get to a grand final, and you're with us?
Mate, seriously. For some bloke, the butchers, you don't know where they're playing half the time. And
it's written in front of me. I still don't know. All right, that is us for the finals. Well done, Skeeter. AFLW, West Coast v Western Bulldogs tonight, Whitten Oval, 5:15. I'm happy with that. I'll watch the footy on a Thursday night, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad spot for it to go.
Yeah.
Dogs have been putrid, I'm told. I haven't seen much of them, but they've been average. If the Eagles are $1.27, which shows you...
Bulldogs are terrible.
Well, the Eagles, have improved. They've improved. No, a bit disappointing against the Bombers, but that's on tonight. And the Dockers, let's be honest, they didn't score a goal against whoever they played, Adelaide in the weekend.
How did you know the odds of the West Coast Eagles women's team?
Because I think Millsy told me, mate. He talks about markets every time. Everything translates into a market. So I said, I'm not taking $1.27 on the Eagles AFLW team.
I'm not your wife. You don't have to make things up why you know odds.
I'm not punting. Well, I did game one against Richmond. I punted on the AFLW. Eagles against Richmond. I think at half time. I almost got rolled because I had a couple of shelters, and the Eagles luckily kicked a late goal to get me out of jail. But gee, that was a frightening watch.
Hello, Mark Reddings here, account number 7415. A live bet, please. WAFL Finals, Swan Districts v Peel Thunder.
Geez, I'm looking forward not to seeing you for a day or two. Look, now this is going to have a bit of heat to it.
Calling this?
Yeah, I'm doing the game for 7. Sunday, the winner goes through to take on East Perth.
Why is it Sunday?
Because Saturday you can't, because there's AFL final starts at what time's the Saturday game? 4:30.
They don't want to clash.
Well, you can't clash. And it's a 7 product, so you don't go up against your own sort of
Right.
product. So, no, I'm just telling you, I'm not being a smart aleck. Okay. I think Sunday, Swan Districts have lost, of course, Aidan Clark, Jesse Turner with his knee. The big issue, I think, in terms of the angst between the clubs, because they played in the qualifying final. Clark got 4 weeks for striking Brady Gray, and I think the Swans boys, and certainly Greg Harding, came out on radio and said he thought that Gray's was a flopper and a diver. And
is that the coach of Swans?
No, he has been a coach at Swans. I'm not sure what capacity Stiffy's got there anymore, but Stiffy Harding, yeah. But I think there'll be a bit of fire and brimstone in that one, because obviously Clark misses for the rest of the season, and it'll be Matt Taberner's, of course. Could be his last game if he decides to retire. He might want to play on. But there's a couple of narratives to the story. Will Brodie's had a corky last weekend.
Sandover medalist playing for
Nick Roker. Yep, playing.
So
He'll be playing, absolutely.
We didn't cover the Sandover.
In brief, look, how well's he bowled? Just quickly, McGarry medal, runner-up 2 years in a row, and then wins the Sandover alongside Callan England.
Is that what his story is?
Yeah, so he obviously missed out on his AFL career, being 29 years of age. And Callan England, it's a terrific story, 25. He's been in Claremont, was on the Eagles as a rookie.
Yep.
Were you there when he was there?
Yep.
Just didn't have the size, or just didn't make it. Bottom line.
Yeah. Bit of everything. I think immature.
Yep.
Clearly had the potential, and that's why he was drafted. He was on the list, and he was a rookie, right? So it's a bit of a roll of the dice. Doesn't make it, but he's been playing good footy for a number of years now. Yeah,
he was terrific. So it was a really good night, and we honoured the Hall of Famers. So everyone said the Sandover was well done, and it's a big couple of weeks with the GF at and Optus. And if the Swans do get through against East Perth, I reckon we'll get 35,000 plus.
Yeah, right.
No,
just
seriously,
that's the biggest two bases.
Swans and East Perth have both got strong followings, and East Perth haven't won one for 20 years, and Swans haven't been in it for 10 or 12. So they've got good following.
I just got my tickets.
Did you? Are you going a little corporate for a bit of a enjoy?
No, I'm going to take the kids.
Oh, beautiful. No, it'll be fun.
As WAFL should be.
Yeah, they've got WAFL one leg. So there's lots of entertainment on the outside. I think the kids seriously will enjoy it.
So do I. Will Schofield, Mark Redding's Shuttle FootyCast. Couple of questions and comments to finish us off, Skeeter. If you do want to send us an email, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au, or you can leave a DM over at Shuttle FootyCast on socials, or write some comments in the YouTube below. Port have lost their 2 gun rebounding defenders and playmakers and power runners in Houston and Farrell. Very difficult to recover from that, from Alan.
That's 100% correct, and that was an element, not the element, but that was certainly a reason they certainly looked.
Do they change something there? Like I don't know, Rose was talking about in that first final. Do they completely flip the board? Or are they just going to?
You got after one match, you to try and reinvent the wheel.
They were wiped though, mate. It wasn't like they lost by 20 points. It lost by 80 something.
80 and could have been 110.
This one's from Colin over on YouTube. Lloyd Meek was given a crack in the ruck when he first came to the Hawks, and Ned Reeves was better. Meekie went back to the VFL and worked hard, especially on his follow-up work. Then the AFL changed the ruck rules. Straight arm blocks in ruck contests will be permitted, provided the players still contest the ball. Reeves got hurt, Meekie came in, new rules suited, and the rest is history. Sam Mitchell also had Jack Scrimshaw running around in the VFL in 2023 just to send the message, you've got all the skills you need, you just need your fitness up. Message received, best pre-season at Hawthorn.
That's from?
Colin.
I reckon that's a really good point about the Meek element. And I spoke to Brett Roseberry when he was in town early this year, and he said, it looks like we're going to have a change to the ruck rule with the stiff arm when you're contesting. And to be honest with you, I think Colin might be on the money there with how that's helped some ruckmen. Obviously, a disadvantage to others, but in Meek's case, because he doesn't obviously get off the ground with a great leap, and he's the body size. So I think that's a really good shout as to an element as to why he's been able to enjoy such success.
We saw what he did last week. He absolutely dominated Tim English, like was all over him. There's a few comments here calling for so Ogre Lord says surely Puparama merch will be dropping soon. He wants some quotations from you, a bit of Puparama.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's actually my quote. I think Barra had it at some stage. I'm sure it's been used many times. Right? Certainly not. I'm not patenting it.
Stolen it.
I might have plagiarised it, yes. But half our show's been plagiarised.
So this is Ra Handles, and there are question marks here, but possibly Skeeter's alternate account on YouTube. But I don't think that's right because Skeeter wouldn't even know how to open YouTube.
I do know YouTube. I don't know. I'm going to count though, have I? I don't know.
You'd struggle to open YouTube. You subscribing and setting an account up, I think it's beyond you at this stage.
I'm a bit worried about some of the people watching this. They're going to absolutely stitch me up on social media with setting up, fake.
Yeah, I'm worried too. Please don't. Please don't put anything on Skeet's Wikipedia page.
Because Tom Percy, AC Casey, will be on the case.
Is that right? You're going to sue people?
Well, can you sue them?
Defamation. Only positive. Don't go too overboard. No, please don't. Actually, don't do anything. He says, waiting for this all day to see Skeeter bloody hell. Waiting for this all day to see Skeeter just show us Skeeter. Why is he so limited on this space? We want more of Skeeter. Love Scully too, but Skeeter, we need more Skeeter content.
I'm telling you stuff that my wife doesn't even know. I mean, this is, I'm trying to be as honest as I can. Like that's the difference. We're talking about, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump over here.
Who won that, by the way?
I thought she blitzed him. He was talking about the Americans eating cats and dogs, the pets. I mean, seriously? And the MAGA movement going, oh, wow, that's really, we got to get them out of there. I mean, anyway.
Who's eating dogs and cats?
Trump is suggesting there are Americans eating their pets. I'm telling you. And she's got issues in policy. He's just got issues because he's old and is completely rambling mess. But to MAGA supporters out there, you just keep on buying your guns and do what you do.
I'd probably vote Trump if I was.
Would you? Yeah, that actually sums you up.
Colin Ross on YouTube, Chris Scott. I'd just vote Trump just to piss you off.
Because he's such, women. Anyway,
okay. Let's stay out of politics. Just get
you know what? If you're American, vote for who you want. Don't give out my address either. Thank you, Scully.
Colin Ross, Chris Scott. You'll be next door to me when you buy that house. Chris Scott had a lean time with Cats making finals and doing a quick exit during his 14-year coaching tenure. Hawks had 2 coaches in 20 years. Hinkley has 1 year to go. Leave him there. If no good, 2/3 way through season, reassess. That's talking about Ken Hinkley and coming to West Coast, I believe. I don't know.
Again, the Ken Hinkley stuff, I'd be surprised, very surprised if Ken Hinkley is the new coach of the Eagles.
That's not happening.
I would be suspecting that, you're going to go for your best assistant coach you can find.
Will you give me credit if I'm right with Stephen King? Will you give me some credit for that?
Of course.
Because I was the first to go with it in the world.
And if it's not him, what happens then?
Oh, who cares?
You just disregard it.
We won't talk about it. Is that all right?
Yeah, fair enough. That's fine. So did anyone tell you that, or you just had a hunch?
Oh, well, just got to say someone, don't you?
Someone's told you that there's a chance this will happen.
Oh, as you know, Skater, we don't reveal our sources.
Not revealing his sources, just saying someone might have whispered in your ear that he's a real chance.
Oh, well, if you came and started saying stuff and I started asking you...
someone, I've had a chat to someone, full stop.
Yeah, well, what do you think? You tell me what do you think's happened.
I think someone's told you and you just got, oh, yeah, I'll run with that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think you've spoken to someone because I don't think you look that far into the list.
Because you just follow the absolute rules of journalistic integrity and you fact check things. And mate, I've seen you do the same thing.
Mate, I don't fact check anything. No, I'm joking.
This is the last one. That was the word. No, I'm joking, you reckon?
I do fact check.
Oh, Jesus. That was the worst week 1 of finals I can remember, to be honest. And the strangest outcome being I predicted a Brisbane victory over Carlton, 91-74, and it turned out 99-71, off the back of Carlton having the second worst halftime score ever in an elimination final, or maybe any final, and narrowly avoided the record set back in 1974. It was a bad week 1 of finals. I'm looking forward to a good week 2 of finals.
We need a good week 2 because given the evenness of the home and away season, let's be honest, you can talk it up if you're a Swan supporter, great comeback. But outside of that, Geelong pantsed Port. It was one-sided between Hawthorn and the Bulldogs for 3 quarters. And, of course, it was all over, a quarter time, essentially, in the Brisbane game. So, no, I agree. The finals needs 2 really, at least 1 very good final. So, hopefully we get that. And I think, by all accounts, I think tomorrow night might be the one where I think we might see a really... if we don't, then that's... I'd be surprised if Hawthorn get blown out of the water, but I'm hoping Port have absolutely gone to work this week.
Are we calling that tomorrow together?
I've got another job on, but I'll be...
Is that right?
Yes.
What are we doing?
It's a football awards night.
Who's?
I've forgotten who it is. Don't you laugh, because there are times when you say you don't know your schedule until you look
So
at
you're not working. I had fun with you last week.
Yeah, no. I'll do Saturday afternoon. I'm doing the Giants and Brisbane as your team goes to battle to get to a prelim.
I'll be at the pub watching that. West Australian sides, we know you don't have a West Coast, we don't have a Freo. Have a great round 2 of finals. You got tickets to buy. Finals.au is, thefinal.au is where you get, give me some music, please, Jaden. I'm wrapping up, please. Thank you, mate. You can get your tickets to the grand final show, thefinal.au. Get your tickets to the Jack Buckley medal at backchatstudios.com.au. Set yourself up for a good grand final week. Go on, get out and do it, Skater.
Yeah, there's a few events out there, and go with Scully and you'll have some fun.